Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, your visionary writing guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers from Monday the 9th to Sunday the 15th of October 2023. And this is a powerful week. Maybe you are feeling some intense emotions, perhaps some strong frustration, anger. There feels to me like there's a lot of tension in the energy this week, and that is coming through in the astrology as well. So today on Monday, the 9th of October, Venus has entered the sign of Virgo. So she has now just moved out of her retrograde shadow. That whole time she's been traveling through Leo, and she's moved out of Leo. She's bringing her empowered, activated, self-sovereign energy into, again, that sovereign sign of Virgo. Venus is bringing her strength, her clarity, her empowerment, her sensuality, her playfulness and her passion that she has gained through her conjunction with the sun in Leo, as a more empowered version of herself, a more self-loving, self-honoring version of herself, into the sign of Virgo, the priestess, who is sovereign and whole unto herself. Venus energy in Virgo is bringing this deeper core level self-empowerment, self-love, self-trust, self-care into our energy field at this time through the sign of Virgo, where she is strong in her self-knowing, what she needs, what she desires, what she is working for, what she is passionate about, what she's building. Virgo is about our rhythms and rituals and daily routines, especially our rituals and practices. Venus reborn through the sign of Leo brings her embodied passion and that self-empowered passion into the sign of Virgo, who holds that frequency anyway, and who is really now giving us supporting us to set the rhythms and the structures and routines for our creative self-expression that will support us in moving forward. There are a lot of powerful and positive energy shifts this week, and yet still, for me, an underlying feeling of stagnation, stuckness, and frustration, which I'll come to in a moment. So we have that positive and empowering transition of the Venus energy from Leo into Virgo, supporting us to create rituals, rhythms, and routines that will empower us in our self-expression and our creativity, our passion, our drive moving forward. Venus in Leo wants us to show up and shine in our in the fullness of our creative self-expression. That reborn Venus in Virgo wants to support us to create the structures in our daily lives that will enable that to happen. It will enable us to show up and shine in our fullness. Also this week, we have the energy of, on Wednesday, Pluto moving direct. And when I saw that energy shift was coming, and I immediately felt relief. I have my car going into the garage to be fixed on that day, and I thought that's a real positive. It feels like things are moving forward. And yet, of course, Pluto, whilst there is that positive kind of shift, energetic shift of Pluto moving direct, Pluto's not moving super far. Pluto's still hanging out at 27 degrees of Capricorn, where Pluto has been for many months this year, and will be until later in November. But Pluto now is on the final journey out of the sign of Capricorn. And so the energy of this, Pluto won't return to the sign of Capricorn for around 200 odd years. In all likelihood, this is the last time we will experience Pluto and Capricorn in our expected lifetimes. And there is a lot to work through. Again, Pluto and Capricorn wants to undo and undermine the structures that have been created, especially those structures that have been created by patriarchy and colonialism, and the structures that we have all been born into and lived with, the stories, the narratives that we have been told and that we ourselves have perpetuated through our beliefs and actions and behaviours. So much of that needs to shift. So much of that needs to be undone. And we now are in the final few months of Pluto's journey through Capricorn to undo those structures that we've been living with for so many thousands of years. And we can see this collectively, and we can be feeling and experiencing this personally and individually too, in order for the collective structures to dissolve. We each need to take responsibility for dissolving the threads of those structures in ourselves and in our own lives that we have believed and perpetuated and contributed to. So we have this week a shift happening where Venus in Virgo wants to support us to create new structures, new rhythms, new routines for our lives. And Pluto is still at that very, very deep soul karmic level, working on undoing, undermining, dissolving the old structures that we have lived with for so long and been participant in for so long. That is a tense, intense, tricky, frustrating, challenging energy to be moving through. However much we also might know that we want to participate in the dissolving of those structures, capitalist economy, colonial oppression, which we've all been subjected to and we've all participated in at our own in the ways that we have had to for survival, and in the ways that we have known to, and in the ways that we've been indoctrinated into, and in the ways that we've chosen to. And those threads have been so tightly interwoven to who we are and who we know ourselves to be over many generations and thousands of years, that the undoing of them, even if we may want to participate in the undoing of those structures, the undoing of them still might feel uncomfortable at a soul level and at a physical level. Because for visionary writers and creatives, maybe it's easy to visualize the undoing of those structures in the wider collective. But how does it feel when we are also invited to participate in undoing those structures in our own psyche, acknowledging those structures where they have existed, and moving through what is required of us in order for those structures to be released and let go and healed and dissolved. We have then on Thursday, Mars entering the sign of Scorpio. And so I do see all three of these shifts, energetic shifts. I feel them as being as having positive momentum, having the potential for forward movement. Mars in Scorpio is in its power. Mars is empowered to take action in Scorpio, whereas in Libra, Mars has been perhaps weighing up the options, indecisive, procrastinating, and at least on the positive, wanting to hear all sides of the story, wanting to talk it out with everyone involved before making a decision or taking action. Mars moving into Scorpio is time to take action on something that perhaps has been coming to the surface or has been needing to be decided or resolved over the past period of time whilst Mars has been in Libra. But those Libra energies are still strong, with the sun traveling through Libra and the moon entering Libra, and then the solar eclipse, the new moon solar eclipse in Libra on Saturday, the 14th of October. That energy is of a reset. We have the South Node in Libra, so we've got some really, really strong, deep soul level undercurrents coming up this week. We've got that Scorpio energy being activated by Mars, Scorpio being like the well of deep emotions coming to the surface, ready to take action, perhaps as anger, as frustration, as self-expression. We've got Pluto shifting energy, that deep karmic level alchemy, which is associated with both Pluto and Scorpio, and the South Node being our karmic pathway, how we entered the world, what we entered the world with, what we are ready to release and let go so that we can move forward towards our North Node destiny, which is currently in Aries. And as we have Venus as the ruler of this solar eclipse, because Venus is the ruler of the sign of Libra. So we still have a strong Venus entering into Virgo, ruling this solar eclipse in Libra. And we also have, again, the strong Pluto energy coming through, which has been very much like this for much of this year. Since the moon's nodes, the eclipse points, moved into Libra and Aries earlier this year, Pluto has been in this dance, this tight dance of squaring the nodes. Pluto in Capricorn squaring the nodes in Aries and Libra, the cardinal signs. So with the sun and the moon now also coming around to those same degree points in Libra, we will have again this tension between Pluto in Capricorn squaring not only the nodes, but also the sun and the moon. That tension is building, that tight T-square between these energies, these deep karmic energies, is strong, and it's building this week. And as the moon, as we know with the moon, when the moon is involved, those energies become stronger in our own personal energy field. When the sun is involved, those energies become stronger as to how we show up as ourselves in the world. For me personally, you've heard me say this many times, my natal sun being in the late degrees of Cancer, I'm feeling this tension as a cardinal grand cross. And there are times when it reaches peaks of frustration for me, which I'm feeling in the energy this week. That desire to move something forward, to create something new, and the almost inability to make that happen. That square energy wants us to pause and alchemize what we are feeling, what we are experiencing, before we move forward and move on. So those are some of the energies this week. And as ever, I recommend journaling as your friend, working with the beautiful group of people. In fact, I've got 2 groups running at the moment with the Ignite course that I'm running through October for visionary writers who are ready to release writer's block. And we have 4 weeks of working together through the elements. We're working with the elements, the cardinal elements, to move through the deep layers of what often keeps us stuck and small and silent, especially as writers who want to say something new and different and bring new narratives, new possibilities to the world. This week we've been working, or the first week when we began last week, we've been working with the energy of fire to move through some of those initial blocks to our writing energy and our creative energy. And so I've been encouraging the people I'm working with to do messy journaling, which I've shared with you on these videos previously before. Anything that you can do to get your words or your energy out onto the page that will support you in giving yourself permission both to feel, to witness, to acknowledge, and therefore to alchemize anything that is coming up for you, those layers of internal rage or frustration that are ready to be seen and witnessed and expressed. Because with the power of the portal of this solar eclipse, new moon solar eclipse at the weekend on Saturday, we have a very, very powerful karmic portal to move through that alchemy at a deep, deep soul level. So some of the aspects and particulars that are coming up for me personally at the moment, I've begun reading the Boudica series of books by Amanda Scott, and there are 4 of them. They're about 600 or 700 pages each, and my sole priority in life at the moment is being immersed in the world of those books. I'm staying up too late at night reading until I fall asleep. It's so powerful for me to be immersed in the world of those books at this moment. And what I'm exploring through that is Amanda Scott in these stories and through her research giving narrative, giving imaginative narrative to what I had intuitively known and understood about the violent suppression of Indigenous culture in this country. Bridget's people, the people who knew and loved and connected with Bridget as their mother goddess, the people of Bridget's Isles, and how, of course, we can't know fully their practices and their rituals. And even in the books, Amanda Scott is very clear to demonstrate that even by that time, which is now 2000 years ago, even by that time, the ancestral knowledge was ancient and somewhat unknown. The ones who erected the stone circles for their rituals, for their remembering, were long past, long distant ancestors, even by this time, even by the time of the Roman invasion, but still so much ritual and power and magic was known, was retained, was practiced here on these islands. And the Boudica books are helping me to reconnect with that world, with that memory, and fueling my rage at the violence of the suppression of that wisdom, of the equality between women and men as warriors and what she calls in the book dreamers and singers, of those who lived on this land free. In fact, a line that caught my attention yesterday, speaking to the time before the invasions, the leader Caradog says, "I was free before and rich beyond measure." And this speaks so strongly to me, and the dignity that all Indigenous peoples across the globe, in all cultures, have held since the ancient times, and has been violently and systematically suppressed, some of which has happened in close enough memory and continues to happen now in living times that we can see it plainly, and some of which happened so long ago, 2,000 years ago on this land, beginning in the corner of this island that I was born and grew up. That southeast corner has been the longest dominated and subjugated and colonized and imperialized, if that's a word. That something else has become plain to me also, that when I began looking at my ancestry earlier this year, and all of my ancestors go back to that location, although I was playing ancestry.com a bit like a game, so I don't know I don't know if I got all the answers right. I just kept taking ancestors that looked like they might be right. Yeah, there's not much research went into that, the creation of that family tree, other than what was available to me through that portal quite quickly. But what I saw from that, if it can be relied upon, is that all the generations of my family since record began, the vast majority of individuals were born and married and lived and died in Kent, in the southeast corner. And that made not much sense to me, because I feel viscerally detached from that part of the world and have moved myself away further and further west, and always felt my roots here in the West, on the ritual landscapes that I'm now very much part of. I also want to acknowledge the ritual landscapes in Sussex that I also spent much time with over a 10-year period, when I was living and walking with those barrows and tumuli on the South Downs. And what it says to me is that those records, those ancestral records, really only tell us a story that is, again, part of the dominant narrative. It's part of the dominant narrative that has suppressed a deeper narrative. And whilst I want to honor the individual lives of every single ancestor that has walked before me, the ancestors that I'm drawn to connect with go much further back. And the world that I'm fighting for, the world that I am dedicated to co-creating, existed long before those records began, and will continue to exist long after those narratives cease to have meaning. And so if you feel yourself with these strong karmic energies coming up through you, I encourage you to take time to listen. What are they guiding you to? What do they want you to see or hear or to create? Because as we move now into the much darker part of the seasonal cycle in the Northern Hemisphere, with Pluto in the final phases of its journey through Capricorn, now is the time when those structures, and especially as we move through the eclipse portal, now is a potent time for those structures to dissolve and for us to intentionally participate in the weaving and co-creation of new forms, new structures, and new possibilities through new narratives in this world. And we may not yet know what those look like, because the focus, the invitation for our focus at the moment is on dissolving the old. So using our journals to move through what is coming up in this week, so that we have the opportunity to move into greater clarity as that is revealed to us. And I'm aware also that I'm using the Roman names for the planets, for the archetypes, the goddesses, the deities. And that is something that I cannot continue to do, though at this moment I do not know the alternatives. But it's in seeing those narratives where they play out in us as individuals, witnessing, acknowledging, and then choosing different, that we will shift the narratives that we are participating in and co-creating. So a card to support us this week. Too many there, and a load fell down. That wasn't good. Let me just grab another one. Okay, what have we? The Six of Cups reversed. Six of Cups reversed. I also do have the Chariot reversed, which is interesting because this is a Chariot year by the tarot and numerology. It's a 7 year. 2 + 2 + 0 + 3 is 7. That's the Chariot in the major arcana. The Chariot is moving us through our death and rebirth into the unknown. And that is coming to an end as this year closes out, but we are still very much in the thick of it. And with Six of Cups reversed, we have an opportunity to look within and to meet some of our inner child healing, some of the deep karmic, ancestral lifetimes worth of healing that are ready to be seen and witnessed and alchemized. So sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here. If you're enjoying this series, please share it with a friend. It'd be great to get up to 500 viewers, subscribers by the end of this year. And if you're enjoying these and you want more, please head over to my social media at Writing Thriving, my website, writingthriving.com. Come and join the newsletter, find out what I'm up to every week, because things are evolving, new offers are emerging, and as the energy begins to build and shift and transform, there will be a lot of new things happening that you will hopefully want to find out about, or be the first to find out about, this tarot and astrology video offering is likely to be ending at the end of this year and replaced with a new format, a new style, after a break and some time to reconfigure, because I know that I need more. What I need to be doing more is reading and researching and writing and finding new ways to express myself and to connect with people. So let's keep the momentum going for this, because when I take a break at the end of the year and I come back with something new, I would love you to be there, and I would love you to keep in touch in the meantime, so that we can move through this journey of inner transformation and outer inner and outer alchemy together. Sending you so much love, and I look forward to seeing you next time.